1. Quick background. I just moved to Amsterdam to start my career in sustainable design, but picked up a bartending and serving job to make some money while I settle myself in. I'm currently trying to learn Dutch, and it's pretty hard, but I also speak French and a little bit of Italian. I've been working at this bar for almost 3 months now, and my bosses are so happy with me, and everyone there is so nice. Story. I am behind the bar, and one of our regulars comes up to me, who I am just meeting for the first time, and orders a latte and something else which I couldn't understand in Dutch. I know the basic terms in Dutch: hello, how are you, please, thank you, what can I get you, etc. And I know our whole menu in Dutch. But when people start adjusting their orders, I start to lose track of what they're saying, so I ask them to switch to English because everyone in Amsterdam speaks English. So I said to him, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. You want a latte and what else? In English. He doesn't say a word, he just stares at me. So I look at my Dutch co-worker and she came over and helped me out. She says to him in Dutch, what can I get you, sir? He doesn't say anything and is still staring at me, then finally blurts out, I don't speak English out of principle. In a perfect English accent. If you speak English so well, why are you giving me such a hard time? I finally get his order and I turn around and ask my co-worker if he was kidding, because sometimes it's hard to tell when the Dutch are joking around, but she informs me that he was totally serious and is a nasty old man who hates tourists, children, and animals. I try to brush it off and move on to a table that just came in, but lo and behold, it's an elderly grandmother, her daughter, and her grandchild, and the grandmother has the same attitude towards me because I don't speak Dutch. I gave her the same spiel I gave the old man, saying I just moved here and I'm really trying to learn, but I'm still new, so it'll take a bit of time. And all she says to me is, too bad for you, and continues to only speak to me in Dutch. A similar thing happened for 2 more tables during my shift, and after the last one, I just went in back and cried out of frustration, and my 2 co-workers came up to me and gave me a hug, telling me how embarrassed they are of their people for being so rude to a newcomer, and they told me I was doing an amazing job, and to rather feel bad for the people who can't stand anyone who doesn't speak their language, because that is a very unhappy way to live. What a weird day. It hasn't happened to me since, it was a month ago, and I hope it doesn't happen again, but if it does, I've come up with a better way to handle it now, so I'll be okay. But why speak to your server in a language she just said she didn't know, risking everything you ordered coming out wrong, right? Thanks for listening. 2. Been here for 6 weeks. Seasonal gig, but since this is a resort, it can be made year-round. First day I got there, the manager who hired me quit because of working conditions, and nobody knew who I was, so instantly I felt unwelcome. Get placed into a room on site. Have 2 roommates in a small space, sleeping on the top bunk of a bunk bed system, rated for no more than 100-pound person, yet I am a grown-ass male adult. Private bathroom for the 3 of us, doesn't have working lights, a door frame, or handle. Get told it will be fixed within a week. That was my first week, it's still not fixed. Move down to a house off-site. Get told I won't need to use my woefully inadequate car to get up and down the mountain for work, and that there is a work truck to use for the house and its roommates. After being put on the company insurance, I get no access to the truck, pretty much being gate-kept by one of the roommates who always has the keys and tells me, you have your own car to drive that. 1. Literally not the point. 2. I was promised a safe commute by our management team via use of the truck. 3. Who voted him into supreme leadership? Filed a harassment complaint after multiple other interactions where I was denied access to drive or even move the truck when another roommate was given free rein when he has a suspended driver's license. Restaurant itself has gone through 3 executive chefs, 4 front-of-house managers, 2 F&B directors, and over 30 servers in 10 months. No standard operating procedures, no rules, no schedule, no accountability. People routinely just not show up for work because they'd rather ski and there are no consequences. Came to a tipping point today when, after I initially confronted our payroll manager, the day he was going over our server checkouts, I kindly reminded him that his threat of withholding our tips because we didn't get a manager signature or print out our voids silverware point of sale doesn't print voids, was illegal. Today he reinforced his stance, rejecting the incorrect checkouts. He found and stated once again that he will withhold tips until people can get their act together. For anyone wondering, it's an in-house piece of paper to summarize what is already printed on the checkout. After going to his and the resort's manager about this, he immediately deflected by saying, "Well, make sure all the servers double-check their sales report against their checks." Did not apologize, did not act shocked. If it hasn't happened yet, why does it matter? Thankfully, HR was in the same room witnessing the conversation. After the build-up of everything else, I turned to HR, said I quit, told them I would move out of the employee housing tonight, and left. I have $20 to my name, but my career, my dignity, and my integrity are intact and at full value. 3. For context, I work in an Asian fusion joint that's run by a Filipino couple. They're sweet people, and we basically serve spicy comfort food. A good bit of our food is prepared in advance, or ordered in bulk. We make 2 big batches of fried rice and white rice in the morning, and maybe we'll make some more if needed. Our fish comes in every Tuesday or so. We're not really a fancy place. So this couple comes in today, and off the bat I got weird vibes. Because they sat down at a table, we allow guests to seat themselves earlier on in the day, and immediately said that it was sticky. Instead of moving, the restaurant was completely empty. They asked for me to come wipe it down. Cool, whatever, did that. Next, party member 1 says they want a tea. Cool, not many people ask for tea, but I've got some tea packets and some mugs, and it's cold outside. I run back and get them a mug of tea. They say no, I was expecting a pot of tea. Okay, I run back and start a pot. By this point, another table have come in, so I'm stressing a little, but no big deal. Maybe it's just me. I'm getting over a cold after all, and this NyQuil has got me a bit out of my mind. Party member 1 cancels their order of tea after I tell them that I don't have any little cups usually found in Japanese restaurants. Okay, guess I have tea for myself now, thanks. I never got to my tea because I got busy and somebody threw it out after a couple of hours of it sitting. Second table orders. Everything goes smoothly. So I ask first table what they would like. They ask what type of steak we have. Yikes, I have no idea. They say they'll wait to order until they know. Alright. I have never been asked this question before, and nobody thought to tell me, so I never questioned it. I run back to the kitchen. Nobody there knows. It was such a mess, I rush back to my table with an answer, and they're just like, "Oh, never mind, we want this completely different thing anyways." At this point I'm a little weary, but I figure they're just covering all their bases, and I go about my day. The rest of the meal goes relatively smoothly. When they're finished, I check up on them, only to find that they have a list of complaints. They didn't like how the rice was cooked, thought the fish wasn't prepared right, didn't like the batter we used, didn't like the texture of vegetables. They compared the food to something you would find at a Chinese buffet, which are delicious, by the way, props to those guys. Mentioned that the fish tasted cheap, stated a couple of times that they thought they might get sick, and would have to take a charcoal pill for it. Also suggested I take a charcoal pill for my cold. Huh? And were thoroughly disappointed because this isn't what they expected at all, and highly doubted that this was authentic. Like, no, this isn't authentic Thai food, obviously. We have sushi, pad thai, curry, and pancit all on the same menu. I know these are all valid complaints, but the authentic comment just kinda threw it into perspective. I don't know if they expected some gold star critically acclaimed Asian experience from some rinky-dink hole in the wall next to a Cracker Barrel, but that's kinda what it came off as. Anyways, they paid for their food, and I relayed the complaints to my boss and head chef, who rolled their eyes at the laundry list. That's a little frustrating, but at the end of the day, we have more regulars and happy customers than not. I was quite happy to take a break after that, and my boss made sure to make up a batch of curry just for me. 4. So I work at an American Chinese food restaurant. It's a chain and it's fairly popular. Not super fancy, but it's nice, and the plates range from $20 to $30, depending on what you order. I'm in Florida, so our busy season is in the winter months when the snowbirds migrate, but during summer we still get random pups from snowbirds that are still hanging around or decided to retire here. On this particular night, it was probably around April, because I was 7 months pregnant and just trying to work as much as I could before I had to take time off for the baby. Most of my tables were pretty understanding that I was not what I would consider the quickest server, but I never experienced special treatment, and I really do try to give everyone a nice experience during their meal. So we have these regulars, a man and a woman, probably late 50s or early 60s, and they always come in and do the whole "how's the manager" name drop, tell him we're here. One time I actually did, and he laughed and said how much he disliked them. So when they come in, all the servers argue about who is going to take them because they are awful. I have served them once or twice before, and even though they are very particular, I've never had too much trouble. They bring their own wine, we have a $10 corking fee, but if I'm feeling generous, I'll let them slide on it here and there. They have a very specific order, and they require quite a few modifications. Okay, not a problem. The only issue is that for what they want, we don't have an actual button on the point of sale system, so you have to physically walk back to the kitchen and tell the line. On this night, we were understaffed and got a random summer pop, so we were all busy. Nobody wanted them, so I took them on. They were out of the way of my section, but they had been sitting for a minute, and I was like, fuck it. An extra little $10, no biggie. Also, my managers were paying close attention to all checks, so I wanted to do everything by the book. I charged them the cork fee, put in their order, and told the kitschy who it was for. He wanted a Buddha's feast, stir-fried veggies basically, add eggplant, tofu fried, lightly. If it was too fried, they would send it back, and she wanted a lo mein veggie, no snap peas, spicy. The executive chef asked me if I rang in the upcharge for the eggplant. I did not. He told me to go ring it in. Okay, I went and did that. Since I was swamped, I didn't even notice when someone ran their food for me. They had not completed their appetizer yet, but were almost done. I gave them a chance to take a few bites before I swung around to check on them. He starts standing up and violently flailing his arms around. I could tell he was pissed. Hey guys, is everything okay?
No, my food is cold, my wife's food is overcooked. I cannot believe you would do this to us. We aren't even done with our appetizer.
They literally had 2 endame left on the plate.
I want to speak to the manager right now. He knows who we are.
Okay, sir, I'm so sorry about that. The manager you asked for is no longer at this store, but I can get the new manager over here right away. If your food is cold, I can go ahead and have them retoss it in the wok for you, or have them make you a fresh one. He's now shouting inches away from my face and standing above me. I'm about 5'2", he's maybe 5'10".
You have ruined my meal. By the time it comes out, my wife's meal will be cold.
The whole restaurant is staring at us now. I'm so embarrassed, turning red with embarrassment and... oh no, I'm about to cry. Damn you pregnancy hormones!
I understand you have pregnancy brain, but is it so difficult to write down an order correctly? We come here all the time.
I now have visible tears on my face. I'll get the manager right away. I walk to the kitchen, so upset I can't talk. My co-workers have never seen me upset like this. Manager goes out, talks to them, and tells them he's sorry for the inconvenience, but it's never okay to talk to his staff like this. Agrees to comp the meal up or whatever. Kind co-worker tells me to print up their check and he will drop it when they are ready, so I don't have to go back out to them. They start screaming at him about the cork fee and the upcharge. At this point, the head chef has had enough of these people. He goes into the dining room. But out he goes in all his glory. He is a big boy, covered in tattoos. He walks up to their table and explains we charge extra for eggplant. All servers must do this in the future. And the angry guy actually has the balls to stand up and yell at him, and starts acting like he wants to get violent. Chef says, "Hey buddy, you want to square up? We can meet up in the parking lot when I get off. No problem. But until then, get the fuck out of my restaurant." Angry man pays his bill and leaves. We haven't seen them since, although I did read the nasty Yelp review they left. 5. So I used to work at a restaurant as a server. Go figure. And we always asked our guests if they would like a dessert menu when they were finished with their meal. One night I had a table with a woman in her 40s and her daughter. They wanted to see the dessert menu after their meal. I bring it out to them, and after some time to look at the menu, they order the cheese platter. Alrighty, I ring up the cheese platter and give each of them a small plate so they can share it. When I bring out the cheese platter, they look really confused. Is there anything wrong?
I didn't expect that.
Okay. But it is what you ordered, right? You ordered the cheese platter?
Yes, I did, but I thought it would be a variety of cheesecakes and not a variety of cheese. I mean, it was on the dessert menu, so I expected it would be something sweet, not an actual cheese platter. Who would order a normal cheese platter for dessert?
Well, some people like to have it as a dessert.
You should have warned me that the cheese platter is an actual cheese platter.
Well, I am sorry, ma'am. I thought the menu gave enough information. On the menu, the description of the cheese platter said that it is a variety of cheese with crackers and chutney.
I need to speak to your manager right now.
So I got the duty manager. She asks what's wrong, and the woman repeats what she told me. The duty manager then tells her that she will order some cheesecake for her. Oh, and the cheesecake as well as the cheese platter will be free of charge. The woman has a big smile on her face and is of course happy with herself. I'm still confused. I then go back to the bar with the duty manager and she tells me that the cheese platter and the cheesecake will be deducted from my next paycheck as it was clearly my fault. Why do I have to pay for this? She ordered the cheese platter and had the menu with all the information on it in front of her. Why is it my fault?
It is not my fault, so it's yours. The customer is always right. You need to learn that.
But what did I do wrong? Do I have to inform every customer that there is cheese on the cheese platter? She had no answer. I am not going to pay this. She admitted that it was her mistake, not mine.
You should be happy that I'm not writing you up.
When I went home that night, I was furious. This whole thing would cost me about $50, which was a lot for me, as I was living from paycheck to paycheck and needed every cent. The next day I called the general manager of the restaurant and she happily agreed with me. The DM had to pay for the cheese platter and the cheesecake instead. I was lucky that all my co-workers heard the whole thing and sided with me. That is why the GM sided with me in the end. After that, the whole thing was known as the cheese platter incident. The DM was generally disliked, and she quit a couple of weeks later. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates number 80. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I'm kind of losing track of things here. Let's see, when does this go up? This is for Saturday the 25th. That's when that goes up. Oof, we're nearly at the end of January already. Yep, it's definitely going to be another quick year. I hope that's a good thing. Well, apologies for not streaming last weekend. I was kind of in the weeds. Is that the word? I was in the middle and in the thick of working. Recording this video actually in advance so I could take some time off. And we should be in the last few days of that right now. But I am planning on streaming later today. What time would that be? Let's say 10 or 11 p.m. UK time. Unless I'm sitting really, really bored on Saturday, which, you know, can happen. You know what it's like when you take time off. You think, I'm gonna relax. I'm gonna catch up on all these things I mean to do. And a lot of the time you just kind of sit staring at the walls thinking, I'm really, really bored. I guess I could go do some work. No, I shouldn't. I'm meant to be relaxing. Or maybe that's just me. And it's not to say I won't do some work when I'm off. I'm behind on the Jack stories. I want to do another one of those soonish. And I'd like to get back to recording Dracula. I know I keep saying that, but I've never forgotten about it. It's always there in my mind. And I'll hopefully get back to that soon. But anyway, what was it? Oh yes, streaming. So if I do a stream, I will try and give you a few hours notice. I'll schedule it for at least a few hours before I actually go live. I do occasionally just kind of spur of the moment go live. But I will try and give you guys a little bit of warning. Okay, and I think I should probably head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.